Hello, this is Scott Snyder and my counterpart Ian Aguilar with Melon Money Management. Welcome to our video series called Dude, Where's My Money? And in this episode we're going to be talking about 529 plans, specifically the difference between college prepaid plans and the college 529 savings plans, and really the advantages and disadvantages of both. Especially because the prepaid plans have been getting a lot of press lately, and it seems like a lot of people have been putting their money there when we talk to clients.
Yeah, I think it's pretty common. They're very well marketed. So I think first let's start generally what is a 529 plan, right? So start with the basics. 529 plan allows you to put money into an account. It's already money that you've been taxed on, so it's after-tax money that you're funding these accounts with. And then allows that money to grow tax-deferred and come out of those accounts tax-free if used for qualified educational expenses. So a couple things to hit on there. What is a qualified educational expense? It's anything from tuition to room and board to books and supplies. It's basically, if you go onto a college website, it'll show you what it costs to attend that college. Anything that falls under those categories that they have on the website generally tends to be qualified educational expenses. Now, I guess a quick example of what that tax deferred and tax-free withdrawal would look like. So if we put 10 grand into a 529 account, it grows to be $15,000 by the time your kid goes to school. If we use that money towards tuition, then that $5,000 in growth that we got in the account, we can then take out tax-free. That's the benefit. So if it was just a regular taxable account, we would have had a tax of a capital gains tax applied to that $5,000 in growth. So capital gains tax, let's say call it 20% of $5,000. It's a $1,000 tax that you would have seen on that account. But since it's in a 529, you get that benefit.
Yeah, and I mean, really, it's a good vehicle for those, especially that can start right away when their kids are born. The more time you have on your side for that money to compound grow, the better that tax benefit's going to be. So we actually have some resources on our website that you can refer to. We have a page specifically earmarked for college planning, and Ian's actually going to speak to a couple of the graphics there.
Yeah, so one of the bigger things is that tax benefit, to Scott's point, gets bigger and bigger over time the earlier you start. So if you start with $50,000 from the get-go in a 529 account, at age 18, the difference between a 529 between having that money in a 529 account versus a taxable account can accumulate to be around $22,000.
So you're ahead by $22,000 by using the 529.
So that $50,000 that was invested grows to $146,000 versus if you were to pull it out of a taxable account, it would be $124,000 because you're getting that extra capital gains tax on those
dividends and interest and all that. So I mean, it's really just a better tax shelter for your money, is what we're trying to get at. However, if you're waiting till like age 14, 15 years old to put money into this 529 plan, you're really not going to get the tax benefits. So that's where we often, at that point in time, direct clients to either put it in really a savings preservation account like a CD and use that money accordingly, because there's not going to be a ton of tax benefits at that point in time.
And so then there's this whole question now between the prepaid plan and the savings plan. The savings plan are these plans that are hosted by states, or sometimes investment companies will host them as well. Essentially, there is no benefit in using the Florida plan. In a lot of states you get the benefit because there are state income taxes that you can shield yourself from.
In the resident state, so just to clarify that. So if you're a Florida resident and you want to buy the state-sponsored plan from Florida, there really is no benefit because the state of Florida doesn't have a state income tax.
Right.
But so people that live in states like Florida or Texas, where there's no state income tax, you can shop it across the country. But people that live in places like Ohio or Michigan, they may want to look at their state plan to see what the tax benefits are going to be. But even some states, it's pretty negligible. So it's really, you got to do your homework on understanding what those tax benefits are going to look like from the state income standpoint versus really what the plan offerings look like. Are they offering competitive fees, good funds to select from? So there's a lot of basically homework you have to do before you just go out and buy any 529 plan.
Absolutely. And so that's, to your point, being a resident in Florida kind of gives you that clean slate to just go out and pick whichever one best suits you. And then on the other side of the coin, there are these prepaid plans. Florida does a very good job of marketing theirs. The idea behind the prepaid plan is you're locking in today's tuition rates, so you don't have to worry about the increases in college tuition down the road. And the reason that's become popular is because college tuition in the past has increased substantially. You look at historical rates across the board, college prices have increased around 5 to 6% year over year. And I think that's a little bit of a scare tactic that's been leveraged to put people into prepaid plans more so than probably should be used.
Yeah, because what's going on with the prepaid plans that people may not be aware of, this differential thing where they have to hurdle over, 2.5% essentially,
Yep,
before
less,
they even get their money back?
Yeah, so there's this thing called a tuition differential fee. So you're not really prepaid says you're locking in today's tuition rates, but you're also paying on top of today's tuition rates, you're paying 2.5% on top of that. So let's say, again, just using $10,000 as a round number, or let's say $100,000 to make it easy. They're going to make you pay for 2.5% more per year, per annum, between now and the time that you actually go to college.
So instead of $100,000, it's $102,500, right?
Right, and that's 1 year, and then that accumulates year after year, and then they'll charge you for each year. And that money is just them basically covering themselves. And so, in order to make even on your
investment,
in your prepaid investment, tuition rates have to go up 2.5% per year.
At least.
Just
to break even.
Just to break even.
So, I mean, it's like us in our, what we do. I try to equate that. We charge our clients a 1% investment management fee. Essentially, the state of Florida's charging 2.5%.
Yeah.
To have your money.
Yep. And really, the only time that it becomes beneficial is if tuition rates skyrocket or go 5 to 6% year over year.
But even then, I mean, you're getting essentially the equivalent of a savings rate, because if you get let's say tuition rates go up by 5% per year.
Yep.
Really, you're only getting a 2.5% growth rate, which isn't that far off from just what a CD or a savings account is doing.
Right. And the tricky thing about Florida is that tuition rates really aren't going up. So if you look at UF, tuition rates over the last 6 or 7 years have been stayed flat. They haven't changed at all. So you're actually losing money, and I think the state's kind of played this game to a large extent, because that tuition differential fee that we were talking about actually gets pushed to the schools, and they get to use that money for extra aid, extra undergraduate education benefits. They can pay teachers more with that money.
Yeah, there's actually a lawsuit right now, a class action lawsuit against the state of Florida as it relates to this differential fee, so that people are aware. It's sort of a misleading factor that's not really brought up, obviously, by the state, because they're benefiting from it, and it just so happens that they've done a pretty good job coordinating with the state, the big schools in the state of Florida, like University of Florida, and Florida State, basically the major universities here haven't raised rates ever since this differential fee feature came out.
Yep.
It's
Yeah, and so what's going on too now is the reason this lawsuit occurred is because when people go out of state, when they have a prepaid plan, what the people get back is just what they put into the plan and a small piece of extra growth. They don't get that tuition differential fee back. So really, people who have put in a lot of money into the plan who go out of state really essentially just get their money back that they put into the plan.
They get less from what I saw in the article. This lady she basically got less than what she put in because her child went to the Citadel, which is in South Carolina. So it can theoretically lose money, if you will. So there's nothing is 100% foolproof. Where we see the benefit of the prepaid plans are those who are ultra conservative and lack the discipline probably to save the money otherwise, and if it was more readily available, they'd probably spend it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I know too, especially like in Florida, so many people get Bright Futures. It's like it's a scholarship program provided by the state, that if you get a certain GPA, a certain SAT score, certain service hours, and you get 100% of your tuition paid. Now, a lot of people have this prepaid plan that only goes towards tuition, and so does Bright Futures. So then what ends up happening is prepaid kicks in first, and you get the Bright Futures scholarship paid out in cash or paid out towards these other small benefits, but you really don't get a lot of money from both these two programs coming together. So that's why I know, me personally, if I ever had kids, I know if we just had our first daughter, I'm going to start funding a savings plan, not a prepaid plan. That'd be the way I do it.
It's the way my wife and I are doing it as well for both of our daughters. So, granted, you have to have some faith in the markets, but
sure.
For those that have a well thought out plan, there's these age-based portfolios similar to what you can have with target date retirement funds, where essentially the portfolio gets more conservative and in preservation mode as the child nears college, so that you're actually realizing those dollars and not putting a ton of money at risk, but still getting enough growth along the way. That's really the strategy to that is more of a glide path downward from more risk assets to less risk assets over time.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that we do with our clients often is make sure that they're just contributing these things, using time-powered money, getting the tax benefit over time, plan it out, be smart about it. Don't let the fear of rising tuition or whoever speaking in your ear make you do a different plan, and just stick to what your projections are, and you should be good.
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, if I were choosing between a college prepaid plan versus leaving it in a savings account, I'd choose a savings account, assuming I have the discipline to not tap into it.
And that's the last point that I think we can leave is, like, look, it doesn't have to be in a 529 plan. It's a good benefit, but a lot of people have other things going on, whether it's retirement or other expenses, and sometimes you can have a portion in a 529 plan and a portion in a taxable account. We oftentimes we don't even have our clients fund the full college expense from their 529s because we understand there is a large amount of other things going on.
Yeah, and I mean, we try to target 50 to 75% of the overall need, just because you can usually fill that rest of that gap with out-of-pocket money from cash flow. And if you essentially don't use the money for college, well, then there's the risk that basically you pull the earnings out is taxable, and then there's a 10% IRS penalty. So you just got to be aware of those kind of things. However, it's not the end of the world if that happens. I mean, you still met the goal of being able to fund your child's college, which is really what matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, and we've got plenty of resources on our website for speaking to all the different nuances in 529 plans. Feel free to please visit it, learn, grab whatever resources we can provide you with, and try and make the best decision for whatever fits you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to today's episode, and hopefully you got a lot out of it. Like Ian said, feel free to check out our website if you want to learn more. Thanks so much.